Hello everybody, my name is Zane's When It Comes to Blaylock, and yes, I am out of focus because what we're going to be focusing on today, did you like the way that I did that while I still stay in non-focus, is this machine right in front of me that is partially, well, is in focus, but partially being shown. So this is a Dell Optiplex 9020 MT. The MT stands for Miniature Tower. So if you've built computers in the past, or just in general you have some form of experience with computers, you know they come in form factors, and typically anything that is in a portrait type of orientation is known as a tower because it towers, whereas basically HT home theater PCs, are known to be more horizontal because they can fit like an actual DVD box or a VHS machine. If anyone who's watching this still knows what a VHS is. I scored this bad boy for about $100, give or take, then plus shipping and tax. The reason why I have it is because I want to build my own Proxmox box. And for those who are really into home labs already, you're probably clicking off because you know lab stuff already, but I digress. The problem that I've had with ordering this bad boy is very minor in general. It's just that it did not come with all of the mechanics needed for the actual drives. As you see the bottom right of your screen, you'll see that it has no hard drives, which is fine. You know, I do not expect people to be shipping drives with computers unless you buy it with the actual intent of having storage included. If you notice, this part here has a blue latch mechanism. Well, the hard drive sleeves also are supposed to come with a blue hard drive, not necessarily case, but a frame. That's why I went out and I had to order my own. So if you see here, these blue frames around this hard drive is what's going to fit in that slot. Now that is pretty much case in point, very simple. Now, I have 4 drives. I have one SSD and 3 mechanical hard drives. The SSD is a very small one, and it's going to essentially hold the operating system, or the Proxmox installation, whereas the other 3 are just going to be storage drives. Now, if you remember what you saw in this, you will probably notice there's only 2 drive bays in this particular case. Well, I thought about that, and so the solution I came to was to use this. So this bad boy here is essentially, actually, what is it called? The brand of it is ICDock. Everything that I bought here, I bought myself. Nothing is sponsored. Nothing was sent to me. So this is a ICDock drive bay that is going to essentially replace the front end of the computer where the CD drive is. So essentially this and the little capstone beneath it are going to be replaced with this bad boy, which I'm quite excited about. It holds 3 drives. So I'm going to have the SSD in the top, 2 hard drives in the bottom, and then the 3rd mechanical hard drive in the actual drive bay of the chassis, or the case. Now, some of you might be curious as to the full-on reason as to why am I doing this, or even talking about this. And I'll make myself in focus now, or I'll try to. Magic. Okay, so the reason why I'm doing this is because I want to set up better virtualization in my home. So I don't have a traditional lab, right? Essentially, I have a few Raspberry Pis, a Linux box, and then my main computer and a render/capture rig that I do for streaming and recording gameplay and etc. But I want a better developer environment. I used to develop on a droplet through DigitalOcean, which I still highly recommend. You can spend $5 a month, totaling out to about 60. I had to actually calculate that. This is post my day job, so I'm tired in the head. But I also know that my charge is more than just the $5 a month, because I also I didn't account for the backups and etc. Anyway, you can do a droplet for about $5 a month, which would equal out to about $60 a year, to do some development work on. But I don't want to do that. I want to push for 2023 to be far more on your data. You'll hear me say this a lot more on this channel because it's something I really want to push for, and I want to start creating guides and templates and software and tools that will help even the most savvy computer person be able to take steps to own their own data, host their own tool sets, and keep things that they want to keep to themselves, not in Google Drive, not in Microsoft OneDrive, not in Dropbox, on your stuff that you owned under your own network. So again, this project is going to potentially account for multiple videos, and essentially we're going to go through various different steps on how I set up this Proxmox virtualized environment. So let me go into more specific reasonings for why this particular hardware, right? Rotate, some of you may know who's on the Discord channel from time to time, ask, why not use my Linux box as the basis for the Proxmox instance, because it's rather powerful. It might be even more powerful than this. Actually, yeah, it might be. Simple answer, I didn't want to. My Linux box is currently running my Plex instance as well as a few other developmental things, but I've been having to do a bit of a give and take, a push, a pull, because depending on what I run on that Linux box can actually affect the performance of family who are using the content from my Plex server. So I really want to redo a lot of that, but that's, again, another topic for another discussion. Because I want people to be able to do their own hosting, their own setups and etc., I'm very conscious of the actual cost of these things. So you've probably seen a lot of people talk about Dell Optiplex machines or hardware because now they're really, really cheap. Because these things used to be inside of companies that are enterprises like, I'm not going to say Google because they probably didn't use Dell Optiplexes, maybe. But accounting firms, maybe some lawyer offices, maybe some research departments, etc., back in 2015 would likely have had a Dell Optiplex or something along that line of hardware. It is no longer 2015. So now you can find this really good equipment for things like this and at incredible prices on the used market. So if you go to eBay and just type in Dell Optiplex, you can find a 9020 MT for about 100, 150, depending on the spec of the CPU and what they're going to include in it. And of course, the actual state of the equipment for a really good price, right? You can also do some of their smaller models. They have the SFF, the UFF, etc. They got some micro ones. They come in like 5 different categorical sizes. But point still stands, you can get some decent equipment for cheap. And that's what I did. Now this costs maybe about $30 or so. Again, there are other ways you can get around storage inside of the mechanics of something like this. You can actually take out the motherboard and the equipment and put it into a different case. But a case that you might want to buy that's modern will probably still cost you somewhere up in the hundreds. But yeah, I'm going to go ahead and start slotting my drives into these and then essentially get this thing set up at least with the equipment. And then we'll come back and actually do a install. And just for the purposes of coming back to doing YouTube videos, this is probably not going to be a great video. I've probably already talked for too long. I know this video is going to turn out bad only because I've already recorded 3 different clips in an order that won't be chronological. So let's talk about this ICDock driveless or drive bay for a hot swappable drives, right? The way that it works is, as you can see, there are these doors on the front. Why am I out of focus? Doors on the front where you can slide in your drives. And essentially, they connect to your saddle ports and things on the back. You have your, data ports and then your power ports. So I will be powering both of the power ports and, of course, 3 drives, 3 data ports. So I'm going to go ahead and do that now. So I'm going to, I guess, cut the video here, maybe. I don't know. So the drives in question for this particular Proxmox installation will be 3, I got Seagate? Okay. 3 Seagate Barracuda drives, each one going up to 4 terabytes of storage. Now, I almost just did 2 terabytes because I don't think I'll need a lot for this particular build. But the concept is, hopefully, I will be running this for a hot minute. And, well, I plan on having a couple of major things running on this Proxmox installation, assuming it all goes well, which if it doesn't, I mean, you won't even be seeing these videos. So, I mean, I guess it would also be nice to say, for those who are like new to buying tech equipment or like just in general, and I hate to do it to these people because I've worked retail before as well. Sometimes it makes sense to buy the extra warranty that comes with certain machinery when you buy it from a retail store like Micro Center, Best Buy, etc. But it's also good to note that typically manufacturers will also come with some form of, probably can't see it, but it says 2-year warranty themselves. Now, the reason why it's sometimes best to still buy a warranty from a said retail store is because typically when you have to deal with a manufacturing company over warranty, you got to jump through some hoops. Now, that's not to say you don't jump through hoops with retail stores either, but in my experience, at least in the last times I had to fall through, it's always easier doing warranty stuff on retail stores. So I am concerned about one thing when it comes to the IC dock drive bay. So it's sized fine for these 3.5s, but they say that they are compatible with SSDs as well. For those who are curious, this is a mechanical hard drive that's 3.5 inches thick. It's not even, well, it's a thick boy, but it's not a thick boy. And this is a teeny tiny SSD, which I don't even know the thickness of an SSD. They're so thin and anorexic. I mean, take them as you leave them. I like both. I like tiny thin ones, and I like big thick ones. Take your preference, or you can like them both. I'm gonna get demonetized, but I'm gonna go ahead and start sliding these in and see how they fit. But I don't want slack. I'm kind of worried that if I put the SSD on the top slot, it's gonna slack down. But I mean, I'll see it as I test it. Oh, okay. So it might rest. Oh man, that slides in. Oh, I wish I could see better. Is that it? No, it's not. There we go. So it is in. So off the bat, I can go ahead and tell you that I am not a fan of how the door, like there's no casing for this front, which is gonna be a bit annoying, but I can deal with that. If anything, I could potentially get like a 3D print for a cover. But, it is what it is. It is still a better solution than no solution. So now for the second, which might go a bit better because I can see there much better on that one. It is more still. Oh, how? Ooh. Yeah, I'm sorry I don't have a second camera. I do want to eventually move out and then actually have a dedicated studio room, but all in due time. And if I can actually make that happen, I will ensure that I can do multiple camera angles specifically for stuff like this. But I'm not Linus. I don't have a multi-million-dollar company with a team to assist. My alignment is slightly off. Oh, there we go. Okay, so there is some support for the SSD. Okay, that is quite simple. Silly me. How am I going to work on a computer without an actual drive? And all of my Phillips heads are missing. What the hell? Well, luckily, you don't need a Phillips screwdriver. You do need a set of pliers to pull a bit out, but anyway, you don't need a Phillips screwdriver when you have a flathead. A flathead that's properly sized will also do the trick on getting screws out. Okay, that's not actually, that's too big. Too big, I say. What about too long? Long and thin. And people wonder why I don't have that many subscribers. So, just as a reminder, this IC dock drive bay is again going to replace essentially the mounting points for the CD drive. So I have to actually remove. Oh, I was missing the case. The front panel has to come off. Fun fact, you can repurpose CD drive units, again, to use them in other systems. You can sell them, of course. They're actually still, I mean, they're not like valuable, like you're not going to make $100 off of it, but people are still looking for them. But you can also use the components in a CD drive unit to basically do your own miniature, like maybe 5x5 3D printer if you have enough of them lying around. You can make use of the lasers that comes in them for the disc read, and just generally more things. But I like to repurpose old equipment, so I'm going to be holding on to that CD drive. Okay, now let's see if this actually fits. Okay, let's see if this just, this big old honking thing just slides on. Well, it's slightly too big. I'm gonna actually have to modify the case. So I made a few mods, and it's now going. So we'll see how this. Oh my goodness, this actually is kind of scratching too, but that's fine. I don't care about the anodized coating on a lot of the equipment. That is just aesthetic. I care about functionality. And it's in. Okay. Look, when you only have $100 some odd set of equipment, I think it's fine if it don't all go as easy as you plan. For fair disclosure, essentially what the problem is the height of the drive bay from IC Dock has a minor, very minor lip that catches at the top of the entry point for this particular case, the Dell Optiplex 9020 MT. So essentially all I did was take a blunt object and essentially created a bend atop of that top lip. And I should have applied some WD-40, better known as, and it may have slid in a little bit easier. But again, for the case of this particular project, which is trying to stay relatively low, I think we've succeeded. Actually, there might be one slight issue. I need to get to the power pins. So, I am by no means Jay's 2 cents, but I will say, if you're ever looking to do modifications to a case that is, in particular something related to storage, yes, you can drill into a case and add your own screw holes and etc. But if you go that route, the one thing I would tell you is to ensure that if you do that, get up every single particle of metal that came off that case. You want to use a vacuum, then you want to use can of compressed air or an electric air blower, not like a leaf blower, but they come in smaller models. Use one of those and make sure every single shard that came off that case when you drilled into it is out of there, because any slight metal that will make contact to a component on your motherboard will likely bridge a circuit and will cause things to not work properly, and you can destroy the CPU, memory, GPU, whatever mechanical or electrical component that's in your machine. So the IC dock did come with its own 3 long SATA cables. So I'm actually going to utilize all of these because all of them are straight connectors, whereas some of these that came with this machine are one side straight, one side 90. Also, I would always recommend keep SATA cables. They are a lifesaver, so just always keep them. If you have extra, put them in a particular box or a particular case or something and save them. And again, if you don't need them, you can always sell them online at a lower price than what they go for retail and make a few extra bucks. Okay, I'm probably going to leave this recording here for now, because now I have to actually do the installation work, and we'll cover that likely in a separate segment, because I probably won't have the camera showing while I do all of that. So we'll see.
March winds and April showers.